All right, fellas. Welcome to episode 3 of Two Coaches, One Grizz. How we doing tonight?
So far, so good. Everything's going forwards.
We're doing a lot better than Miami football this week, I'll tell you that.
There it is. There it is. With the bombs right off the hit.
We're starting out fast tonight.
Here it is.
Fast.
So, I mean, let's jump right into it. The Dolphins. How do we move forward from here, gentlemen? I'm going to open it up to our resident fan and Coach Emeritus.
Listen, if you want to hear what I think the Dolphins should do, first of all,
Give it to me.
I'm a purist, bro. Let's go back to those old uniforms, man. They're sleek, they look good. And you know what? I feel we play better when you look better. I'm a big proponent. I don't know if you noticed, a lot of teams win Super Bowls after they change uniforms.
Look good, play good?
I'm saying, got to look good. Because other than that, what the fuck are we doing, bro? What the fuck are we doing losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars in their home away from home, London? Which, by the way, guys, we used to be the team there. Everybody loved Miami and London. Like, that's the Dolphins' unofficial home team for years, right? But no, we give it to the Jacks. Now we go there, and we get our asses. Listen, bro, Urban Meyer had a great week last week with Gruden. He's having an even better week. Who knows? Hey, all those London bombshells, I hope you fucking wore some tight jeans, man, because Urban was on the prowl after that game.
Oh, those finger pistols were hot.
Oh, he was rolling. He was happy. I heard that the team came back and he stayed again. He stayed back to make sure. No, I'm just kidding.
Different country code at that
He
point.
wanted seconds.
I mean, they haven't lost, right, since he left? Well, did they have a week off, or did they lose the week before?
Well, no, they lost the week that week,
Correct.
and then after that, I think they had a bye week, correct?
Right, so
And they
since
let's
he
check.
started,
Let's check.
they
Let's
haven't
check.
lost. Because the loss happened and then he stayed, correct?
Correct.
Undefeated after the Pistols. The Flangy Pistols.
No, but in all seriousness, what do we need? We need to fucking draft better. We need to stop getting terrible. Like, we get the draft picks, and we just don't draft. I mean, what's the best thing to do when you have all these picks? Just throw them away?
They lost to Tennessee. They lost to Tennessee the week after his visit to Cincinnati, Ohio, to the Ohio area. So he lost to Tennessee.
I stand corrected.
And then he went ahead and they beat Miami. But, well, I mean, first of all, I think that Tua had a good game. I think the kid played well. The kid, I think it was his first game that he's really made some strides and hit. I mean, he hit guys all over the field.
Tua was fine.
I mean,
He made a couple mistakes, but within it all, he played well. I think that the offensive line is something that really needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just taking a gander here and looking at the scores, and for the most part, I mean, we're talking about 3 and 4 point games across the board, right? So they're losing games at the most critical points and junctures of games. Like they're coughing it up at wrong times. You know, they're not. They're playing too conservative at certain times. You know, it doesn't help that there's been a lack of consistency in certain aspects, especially at the quarterback position. He came back and he rebounded after the injury, but I mean the jury's still out, right? Like,
But when you take a look at statistics, and again, I know that everybody tries to look deeper and things like that, but just basic stats, they're averaging 71 yards a game rushing. They're averaging 218 passing. They're in the bottom third of the league in offense. I mean, you can't win scoring 16 points a game in the NFL.
Absolutely not.
And again, and we talk about this all the time, that success in football starts up front. Your O-line and your D-line are the ones that set the tone.
I mean, I don't think, once again, I'm not sold on Tua's the problem. The guy hasn't been out there. You still don't know. It takes a couple years to evaluate these things. We live in a world where, instant gratification, you need it now. I need it now. I mean, come on. The kid can play. We need to surround him with talent. Tell me if Herbert was starting for the Dolphins as of last year and Tua goes over there. Look at the talent disparity, bro.
I mean,
and the coaching, to be honest, I think is better over there. I just think bottom line is we did lose to a team that had lost 20 in a row, man. You know what I'm saying? Second highest, longest losing streak ever. They hit a knuckleball for a kick to tie the game. I've never seen that
Kid
before.
did a great job. Well, he ended up winning the starting job.
They
cut
didn't have a
Gano.
field goal the first 5 games.
They cut Gano.
They didn't have a field goal the first 5 games. They hit 3. 2 of them past 50. It's just stupid. We got bad luck too.
I mean, look, to Coach's point over here, Myles Gaskin is your leading rusher with 176 total yards rushing in 6 games. They have 429 yards rushing as a team. I mean, that's gotta rank in the bottom 5 of the league easily. You know, and then so your second leading rusher has 115 yards. Like, I mean, that's atrocious. I mean, there's running backs that have double that at this point.
You're not helping. You're not helping your quarterback in any way, shape, or form by not being able to run the ball when you need to, and not giving him time to throw the ball. Because that's, again, and it starts with the O-line. The O-line, you know, in the last couple of weeks when the backup was in there, when Brissett was there, he was running for his life. You know? So, again, I think that if they're able to address the O-line, you know, I think they've got the pieces as far as receivers are concerned to be able to play. I just think that they need to do something about that offensive line.
Yeah, and I mean, also, too, like, when you're drafting a quarterback, right, for example, in this day and age, like, you want to put him in a system that's going to maximize his talents. And, you know, I think the Dolphins historically in this, you know, recent history have been trying to fit square pegs into round holes, and you can't do that. What was Tua successful with at Alabama? RPOs, right, letting the ball out quick, right, sucking up defenses, and once that they were stacking the box, now let's toss it over the top to the studs. Now, granted, those are 5 stars across the board,
and they ran the ball. Let's not, Alabama has been, running back for the last 4 or 5 years.
For sure.
They've had a stacked O-line, had a good running game. So, of course, the RPO game and all those things are going to work.
Right.
And if you go back to the Marino days, Marino would play action and people would laugh and drop back. Because, again, no running game.
Correct.
So you got to have that. If you don't have a little bit of a running...
They're not going to believe you when you do the play action. They're going to be like, go for it.
Right. And there's no reason to suck up on the RPO. There's no reason, because you haven't been able to establish a running game.
But not to mention also the last play of the game to set up the last field goal. All they had to do was let the guy catch it and don't touch him. The time would have ran out. You know what I'm saying? So it's things like that, little things like that coaching is just annoying me. You got out-coached by Urban Meyer. That's all I know.
It's a great point. All right, so I think there's that. Let's I think everybody has a look at disgust here, so we're just gonna move on.
No, we're just not gonna spend that much time on a terrible team. What the fuck, Come on.
All right, so let's jump right into the Shannon Sharp DK Metcalf beef.
Little Twitter feud.
The little Twitter
This
beef.
one will also be a very simple, quick one.
Hit it.
Shut your mouth, DK Metcalf. Catch the ball and go down. Listen to people like Shannon Sharp that know what they're talking about. I mean, don't call that guy little boy. What's wrong with you? Have you seen that man? I know you're a big boy, and you're the only guy that probably could say little boy to him. But even then, I still got 5 on Shannon. I don't know, man. These kids, bro, they just can't take it. They don't.
I mean, listen,
listen
you
to
got
the
5 on
criticism.
you got 5 on Shannon. I mean, I think Shannon's a little past his prime there in terms of fighting. I think he wins just because you better kill me. Like that's Shannon Sharp's.
I still think he's from the South, from Georgia.
Right.
He knows what's up. I'm not gonna even deal with that.
But yeah, it was a stupid play.
And I love DJ Metcalf. He's in 3 of my teams. But dude, you color your hair fucking highlighter green, bro. I think I'm with Shannon Sharp on this, bro.
Heard.
Sorry.
And I get it. And it's you alluded to that point, Mario, a few minutes ago about knowing your situations.
These guys, they just don't know.
If you know you got to go out of bounds, then you got to go out of bounds. You're trying to save time. Those extra 4 or 5 yards aren't really going to help you one way or the other. In all honesty, your kicker's either going to make it or not from where you're at.
I thought coaching, you guys should know this. I mean, I would think you deal a lot with 2-minute situation. You deal a lot with time management. You deal with, hey, where do we got to go to get what we got to get? I mean, sometimes to a detriment because sometimes you should be going a little aggressive instead of kicking field goals like in other conversations we have. But if you're going to do it, you should know what you're doing. And I'm not going to disagree with with a Hall of Famer like Shannon Sharp.
Especially not at that point. I mean, there are times that, yes, you can disagree, but not that particular play where then you fumble the ball, and that's it. You guys are done.
And not for nothing, I'm not a fan of Twitter beats, bro. No. Keyboard tough guy, what's that? Twitter is a whole nother thing, bro. People, you want to talk, tell that guy in his face that. You know what I'm saying? Not going to happen. Sir?
I have nothing to add. I mean, it's a stupid football play. You need to have some more couth on the football field at that juncture in the game and what's on the line there. You know, you have to be cognizant of that at that point.
When you get called out, just accept it and move on. You know, which I think you finally did at the end and went ahead and backpedal a little bit and let it go.
These guys got a little butt hurt. Can't take no thin skin.
I mean, kid. Like I don't know if we're calling DK Metcalf a kid.
Nigga, I'm 40. He's a kid.
Heard.
They said it to me all the time when I was 20. I'm gonna say it now.
I still get called a kid
because you are to me.
You're like 3 minutes older than me. All right, moving along. Trucking right along. Los Angeles Rams, serious contender or not? Talk to me.
Well, I mean, to me, the way they're playing and what they're doing, I think they're the most complete team right now. The Cowboys are playing well. Okay, the Cowboys are right there. However, I think that what the Rams needed all along was a quarterback that could make things happen. And he's getting the ball. Cooper Kupp is balling. Robert Woods is going, running game. And then they got our boy Donald as a D-lineman extraordinaire who's leading the defensive charge.
I'm sorry. I'm taking it back here. Am I looking at this correctly? Oh, that's 2020. Wow. All right. Moving along. Continue, sir.
No, like I said, I just think that they're in a great position where, they've got it all. They've got it all. They've got a good system offensively. The quarterback, Stafford's playing well. Now we'll see what happens when they play, the other echelon of teams, because they're going to have to play the Cardinals again. The Cardinals came into their house and beat them. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so I'm looking at their 2020 stats, and they had over 6,000 yards of offense. At this point right now, they have 2,400 yards of total offense. I mean, they're trucking right along. It's looking like they're on pace to crush that. So,
yeah, again, there's only two other teams that are throwing more than them, or completing more, passing more yards than them, and that's the Bucs and Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, they have 1,785 yards passing, and then it's kind of a low number, but actually I think it's a testament to them trying to figure things out and kind of trying to stay as balanced as possible. They have 621 yards rushing, more than the Miami Dolphins. No. and that's on they're on their third running back of the season.
That shit with the Dolphins. Keep it up.
Sorry, we're moving right along.
Well, Henderson's their starter, so he's
right.
It was between him and the other young man that got hurt.
Right, but again, I think they've overachieved because that was a huge blow to them with that injury at the beginning of the season. And, they looked at Henderson as the third down switch up, passing down back, and he's produced. He's held up his end of the bargain there.
Listen, I'm a big fan of the Rams. I love Stafford. I love how they, the defense is stacked. They did run up against the Cardinals, who, man, they are looking really good. I can't wait for that rematch. Yeah, it's going to be great.
That's the toughest conference.
But once again, little side note, they changed back to their old school unis, a little brighter last year. See, they've been playing a little bit. I'm telling you, there's something about this, man. You come to me for the uniforms, all right? I like to dress good. So I'm telling you, the new unis looking sharp, make you play sharper, sleek. I'm scared of these Rams.
Well, to Coach's earlier point, yes, Jared Goff took them to a Super Bowl. He was a top-end game manager, right? Matthew Stafford has been in the football doldrums his whole career and producing nonetheless, and now he's actually got a squad around him.
He's got a head coach who's offensively oriented.
Right.
Does a great job with motion and rollouts and all the different nuances to be able to put up points and put his quarterback in good
And
position.
putting him in the perfect positions
Correct.
to succeed. Whereas when Stafford was with the Lions, he was doing that in spite of. So
Let's not forget the last head coach that he had was Matt Patricia.
no bueno,
It was no bueno.
no bueno.
Yeah, big time upgrade. And as you can see, I saw on ESPN earlier today that they had an article saying, McVay felt a little bad about how his decision on sending Goff was to the Lions. He should have expressed it better ahead of the trade, but you can't deny he made the best deal there.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? You have to make the best business decision for your organization. I mean, that's far and away, that's a no-brainer.
It's not show friends, sir. It's show business.
Yes, sir. Agreed with that one.
Yes, it is.
So, what do you think? Super Bowl contender? Would you agree with that?
I really do. I think they are in the most difficult conference. Okay, but with Russell getting hurt, okay, that
I think that opens the door for them
that
for
puts
sure.
Seattle way back now.
Every team in the NFC East leading their division is 5-1, except for their division where the Cardinals are 6-0. It's going to be a tough road.
I mean, it may very well be that they're the wild card team and have a better record than the other three division winners. So,
Like the LA Dodgers.
like the LA Dodgers. Shout out to Doc. Okay, yeah, trucking right along. LA Chargers. Oh, did I ever get that right? Yeah,
Yep.
I did.
Yeah.
Hey, it doesn't roll off
Every
the
now
tongue.
and then a San Diego comes out.
Correct.
It does not roll off the tongue well at all. So, listen, I think we can all agree that Herbert is an actual bona fide stud. Like, that kid is the real deal.
He is. But I'm telling you, he also does have a lot of great talent around him. But he himself is an amazing quarterback. I would want to have him instead of Tua right now. I really do. But, I mean, just, hold your horses.
The game this weekend kind of showed some cracks in the armor of the defense. Their defense really did not show up to play, and their defense has not been playing well throughout the season. To be honest with you, they are in the bottom half.
But you can also attest that to obviously playing against Baltimore. Great quarterback in his own right, who the 2 years ago MVP.
Correct.
And last year everybody thought they figured him out. And now what are they writing about him again? Like, can anybody stop him? It's just, when you're playing good, they're going to talk good. And when you're playing bad, they're not going to talk as good. But also the Chargers, West Coast team, going to play on the road at 1 o'clock against a tough team. Kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, but in
Could've
the last 2 games, they've given up over 70 points.
Oh, no, the defense has been atrocious, and they've been getting away with it because their offense has been in a win.
Exactly.
But when your offense doesn't travel with you, you're going to
you're gonna have a bad game. Sooner or later, your offense has,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
I mean,
But-
didn't the Packers start off this season getting blown out, and we thought that the season was over for them?
Correct.
And what do we like to say? Relax.
Relax.
Like A-Rod says,
Don't do it.
it's just a game. And I think these are teams that can meet in the playoffs again. Just where are we going to meet? And, you're going to be able to...
the next
you're
few
gonna be able
weeks,
to-
after the way the Patriots played this weekend, I think the game now against the Chargers, is going to be interesting. We'll have to see, how good the defense plays. The Charger defense now has to step up in the next 3 games. They got the Patriots, they got the Eagles, and they got the Vikings.
I'm sorry. I don't even see it here, but that was a great game.
Yes,
That ending to that game was heart-pounding. Not the fact that I had a few,
Prop bets?
not even prop bets, just bets in general about needing the Cowboys to lose or needing this to happen, or not really that they needed to lose, just not cover the 4.5 or whatever. And the fact that it fluctuated from that defensive touchdown. What's this kid's name?
Diggs.
Diggs.
Diggs' brother. That's Diggs'
Interception
brother.
in every game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's averaging 1 a game.
So that happens, and you're like, oh my God, that should have not happened. Terrible play call to throw that. And what happens the very next play when they get the ball back? The guy goes right after him with, I got to say, tremendo cojones. And then I think it was a terrible play by the safety came up.
Correct.
And then this guy goes for a score. I mean, it was just,
No,
that was
Mac-
an amazing 10
Mac Jones
10
has shown himself to start. He's growing up, quickly.
Is he better than Tua? Another Alabama guy there?
So going back to Chargers, I was just looking up like some like stats. They're 12th in total offense in the league right now, the Chargers, and then they're 18th, I think, in total defense. So they're kind of like middle of the pack in both. They're just a very timely team.
But if you take a look at them as far as offensively points scored, they're one of the highest point scoring teams in the NFL.
Yeah, they're going to win games scoring points, but they're going to lose games if they don't score points.
Exactly, because their defense, again, is giving up a lot of points. Okay? Yeah. Their defense is giving up 25 points a game. You know, and then, like I said, the last two teams they've played have been good offenses. They've given up 70. So that doesn't bode well. You get me? That does not bode well. So
they're scoring 24.7 points per game and giving up 25.
Exactly.
So over the long haul, it's not going to work out.
Exactly. And
I think the Grizz over here mentioned it the other last episode. It's all about who gets the hottest at the end of the season. Who's going to win the 5 games?
And who's able to make the adjustments?
Right.
Because this is a game of adjustments. You know?
Now, speaking of adjustments, talking to that point with the LA Chargers, I think we kind of alluded to their Achilles heel being the defense, but they also have a very unproven coaching staff. You know, that he's a first time,
I'm not a fan of him going for it at the 20-yard line. That
correct.
play I wasn't a fan of. I like the aggression, but I'm not a fan of that.
It's all about the analytics, Chris.
I know that.
It's all about the analytics.
Speaking of last night, did you like that play to finish the game? I liked it.
No, it was a gutsy call. It's a gutsy call, especially early in the season.
That's where you make it.
And it's early in the season.
That's where you make it.
You get me?
You're going to tell me you're not going to be able to – you think you're going to get a foot with a quarterback of that size, which, you know, going back to, like, the Patriots, Tom Brady, I don't understand how nobody else does it like Tom Brady, bro. Every time, you know it's coming, and he just goes forward. The fact that he slipped screwed it up.
Right. Well, he took a step back.
The analytics did say it was a percent higher than going for the field.
He took a step back. And if you ever watch Brady never takes a step back.
Never.
He rides the center's butt.
He took a step back and he tried to go to the left.
Correct.
Just ride him.
That's
exactly
it.
That. Ride
That's
the butt.
And then guide your way either side.
Forward. You know, you can't see me doing this, people.
So and again that was our next point, is that the Bills stumbled last night against Tennessee. You know, King Henry dominated the game.
Dude,
what up, Porks? Right up the rectum.
King Henry was running, and he had, and again, and to a certain point, they had him kind of contained until he broke that 70-yarder, and put everything, you know, in perspective that you got to be careful when you play Tennessee. You know.
Let me let's look at the you know shout out to the One Privilege Fantasy Football League.
I can't believe that after scoring the most points last week and getting paid $10, I gotta go dish out $10 for having the lowest point total. Because all my receivers, I had 4 receivers give me 30 last week, and they all shit the bed. It's amazing. And I happen to play against the guy I gotta pay the $10 to, who scored the most points, the evil Andion, who just throws me a good game, Mario, when he's up by 80, knowing that I can't even cross 85 points.
Prior to
evil, man.
Prior to King Henry and, you know, his performance last night, Coach No Morals was down 92-94 to Mr. Porks, and Mr. Henry, King Henry, pops off for 37 points fantasy for a resounding win, 132 over 109 over the Porks. So he's a number 1 rated back in all of fantasy football, and I'm gonna ride him to the end. So you're welcome.
It's all right. I've gotten back up to 500 myself.
There you go. The top scorer in the league, and he's 500, which is insane. Actually, look, I'm gonna pull it up right now. Are we doing fantasy?
I've got it here. But again, you know what? Just like our fantasy football, the NFL after 6 weeks has plenty of contenders. We will see now over the next 3 or 4 weeks how things shake out. You know, you got Cleveland stumbling now with their quarterback getting hurt. You know, his shoulder's messed up. Are they going to be able to bounce back? Their running backs are hurt. You know? So
you have scored 853.74 points this year.
Yes, sir.
and you have ran into 3 of the top 5 scorers
Yes,
or
sir.
3 of the top 6 scorers. So half of your games you would have beat everybody else in the league except the dude that you, sir, were playing.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
And then of course, the guy who's in first place is just getting everybody's bye week, which is insane.
No, in the week that I played him, he had
The mighty
top
Chino.
the top scorer.
Shout out to Chino, who
So-
his luck is gonna run out soon, I believe.
Yeah, it's coming. I'm coming for you, Chino. All right. Let's plenty of contenders after week 6. Let's talk about the crowded field and the parity that we're seeing right now in the NFL. I mean, I'm enjoying it for sure. There's always a couple games there that are just off the rails every week, so it's been a pretty dope season so far.
I mean, when you take a look at it, even the Cincinnati Bengals are in the running.
Oh wow.
They're second in their conference. Okay, or in their division, they're second. They're 4-2. So again, I mean, you've got 3 teams at 4-2.
And let's talk about that for a second. Like in the AFC North, it's a coming of age, right? Where the Steelers kind of dominated that division for a decade, right? They're the only ones that 10, 12, 13, 14 wins, and especially the Bengals. Obviously, the Browns, they're 7 and 9.
15 years without a losing season, right?
I believe so.
At least.
I believe so.
Yeah, they had a couple 8 and 8 years there.
Yeah, but never losing.
Never losing. But just, it was the oldest dude on the block kind of just having his way with those other 3 teams. And now,
I mean, the Ravens have been around, so, they've been a great series. The Bengals had those years with Dalton. It's just the Browns, man, that are making things interesting. And now, poor Baker,
I heard this. I don't know what show it was on. They're a 6-0 roster that is a 500 team. Like, they are literally at the
they
bottom.
lost to the Chiefs and the Chargers. They should have won those
They're at
games.
their floor right now.
Chubb got hurt.
And so did Kareem Hunt.
And now Kareem Hunt got hurt on Sunday.
They played
And
the
Baker
best
Mayfield's
team.
playing hurt.
And Baker Mayfield's shoulders hurt.
They played
So,
the
I mean,
best team in the league record-wise, and they almost made a comeback there at the end. They're a solid team if they're healthy. Once again, it's all about health, guys.
That's it.
If you're not healthy, you can't do anything.
Dude, I mean, listen, Lamar Jackson's been a one-man show with the Ravens. You think that sputters out eventually?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Just because he's throwing so much better this year.
Yeah. Marquise Brown, all of a sudden emerges as a deep threat.
If the man can be accurate, the sky's the limit.
Exactly.
I honestly think he's one legitimate, number 1 receiver away from breaking it wide open.
The thing is that the thing with that is, remember, he needs the ball in his hands as well. As long as he's a threat, it changes all the perspective of the defense.
Yeah, he's 1 game behind, right, for breaking the record for all-time rushing for 100 yard per game for a quarterback.
And it's only 3 years?
The guy's 3 years, 4 years in the league.
Four years.
So he's going to get that, and he's going to be that kind of factor at least for another 5 years.
Yeah.
Before he gets older.
Right. I honestly, I believe the commish of our fantasy football league was very critical of him a couple weeks ago when he's saying he's Michael Vick with a good offense built around him, and I push back at that. I think he's orders of magnitude more of a polished passer than Michael Vick ever was.
He is, okay, again, and he's showing this year, they've worked on it, and he's doing some good things.
This guy, come on, Grizz, what are you doing over there?
Keep focused, kid. Keep focused.
Yeah, you know I have ADD. Come on, man.
He's done a good job of throwing the ball well. Now, the big game that he had a bad first half, then he came back and had a good second half and finished, So that's the situation there. It's just he's throwing the ball much better. But again, we're only 6 games in. We'll see as the season progresses, and we'll see how his schedule moves on.
So our producer comes in hot with a big stat. He does in fact have the most wins of any NFL quarterback in the history before 25 years old.
Right. Yes.
So
he eclipsed that on Sunday.
On Sunday, correct. I mean,
yeah, he took over Dan Marino's record. That's crazy.
Wow. And he's what, 24? 24? He'll be 25 at the end of this season. I mean, sky's the limit for him. Like I said, I do think they need one more legitimate receiver. Marquise Brown has been great, but at what point does that stop once it starts getting colder
They have
later
a
on in
rookie,
the season?
right, that they're waiting for to come back. I think.
I'd have to look at that.
They also,
I think they have a rookie.
honestly, what's also opened it up underneath is the fact that they added Sammy Watkins as well. He's been an unsung hero there, making those tough catches across the middle. That's been huge for him as well.
Oh, and they use a tight end real well.
And Mark Andrews is a
They
stud.
do a great job, And again, it all comes down to him being effective with his passing. If he's able to do that, again, yes, the sky's the limit, and that team is going to be very, very hard to stop.
Kid's name is Rashad Bateman.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
that was their first round
Yeah.
pick, right?
So, I mean, if you're a first round pick, you got hope to be that kind of receiver.
Correct.
So he had a good debut. It looks like.
And then
against
when we
the Chargers.
go across to the NFC the
Yeah, the
national,
stacked. There, see, that's the one I told you. Every division is a 5-1.
it's 5-1, 5-1,
Except for the Cardinals
5-1,
that are 6-0 with a 5-1.
So it's again.
Do you
Talking about-
believe
we're talking
the
about-
Cowboys?
we're-
Do you believe in these Cowboys? Ugh.
We're talking
I
about
hate to
NFC.
say it, but
Listen, there again.
Dak looks good, man.
The-
Not
the
a
o-
Cowboy fan, but Dak
The
looks
only
good.
problem with that is now, and we'll see how that works out, is if Mike McCarthy stops making
That guy,
dumb mistakes.
he's the one that's gonna screw it up.
We mentioned
what a-
Achilles' heels earlier.
He has really
is
bad play calls and really bad time management.
It's not even play
really
calls.
Bad.
It's his time management
Yeah,
situation.
really bad time management, but I don't like his play calls.
he
Well,
is
Kevin Moore, but it's not him. He's not calling the offense. And
he
kid's
is
doing some
the
I
good
Achilles
things.
don't
heel
know.
of
When
that
you're the
team.
head
Like
coach, you got some say.
they will fall short of expectations because of him. Like he has a Super Bowl ring on his finger. Guess what? You probably had the most talented quarterback in the history of the game to help you with that.
But he's got-
and they were 9-7.
another
They were
one.
9-7 that year.
But he's got another one because Dak is
No,
pretty damn
Dak's getting
talented.
there.
He's pretty
They-
damn talented.
yeah,
he
but
can
they got-
move.
they-
He can throw. I mean,
They got to get the monkey off their back in that respect.
definitely. And again, he just needs to stay out of the way. You get me? He just needs to stay out of the way.
Let them cook. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause-
And make smart decisions with time. I mean,
And I think that's the worst part about it, right? Like he's an offensive minded coach, right? Who, let's call it what it is, he has a certain level of hubris because he was a long tenured coach with the Green Bay Packers, does have a Super Bowl with him. But again, a lot of that success was in spite of his lack of
as
innovation.
As his years waned down in Green Bay, that was a complaint.
Right.
The complaint was that the offense was not
Evolving.
But again, he's got a good OC.
He does.
Kevin Moore is doing a phenomenal job of motion, different looks. He rolls Dak out. I mean, the concepts that they're doing and they're running, and he's using the two running backs really well.
And they have all world weapons. Because listen, Marcus, or is it Marcus Pollard? Right? Is that his name?
The running back, yes.
Yeah. He starts for 10 or 12
That's why
teams.
I said they're using two running backs. Both running backs are being used the right way, and it's a nice combination. And they're keeping Zeke fresh, and Zeke is pounding, and so we'll see how they go from here.
and I think what's not. I mean,
It's Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard. Where did I get Marcus Pollard from? I don't know.
Tony Pollard.
I think that the defense doesn't get enough credit here, though.
I don't think the defensive coordinator is getting enough credit.
I mean, they're legit.
Dan Quinn is doing a hell of a job with that 4-3.
The way that he's using his linebackers, they're Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a middle linebacker, but he's a hell of an edge rusher as well.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and again, this Trevon Diggs kid is coming out of nowhere and picking off every game.
Listen,
game.
as a former DB, like so much of that is just being at the right place at the right time, and just.
But again, it's also the calls. It's also what coverage we're in, what your responsibilities are. So, I think that's.
He does have a tendency to guess, and try to hawk balls down, and sometimes it works. This year, it's working, But yeah, hopefully he keeps up that pace. I mean, he's on a tear right now. I don't know if you can keep up that pace in terms of interceptions. Holy crap! But
well, I just read right now where a few hours ago their starting free safety got arrested for DUI. So I don't know how that's going to work out.
Again, going back to this, I know this is not on our list of topics to cover, but you are a millionaire. Uber, asshole, Uber.
I'll never understand that.
And also, I would like to add that the NFL does have a safe rides program. They have a safe rides program in every NFL city that they're in. You call them and they will pick you up.
Man. I don't,
like, it's ridiculous.
Gotta drive, you know? What's wrong with people, man?
He got arrested.
Man, if I had millions of dollars, I'd forget how to drive. What's a wheel? I wouldn't know what to do. Yes, you could drive me, sir. Absolutely. Appreciate that.
We're back with two coaches in the Grizz, and we're gonna jump into college football right off the hit, and we're gonna jump into some spicy situation here with Washington State University's head coach getting fired over the vaccination mandate.
Yes, sir.
So, Coach, take it away.
Well, Nick Rolovich has said it from the beginning that he was not going to get the vaccine. And he also had 4 assistant coaches with him as well who were not vaccinated. And they did everything that was asked of them. And the state, since it's a state university, they decided to fire him this week. Again, they're not having a great season, but they're not having a terrible season. You know, the comment has been made, well, if they were undefeated, would have been fired? Et cetera, et cetera. And again, I just have a problem with the whole mandate situation. You know, I don't think that this is I don't think that COVID-19 is a mandate, a vaccine that needs to be mandated. I don't think the numbers are there. I don't think the science is there for mandated vaccines. And for people to lose their jobs and people to get fired over this situation, to me is completely uncalled for.
It's a little too over the top for you.
Yes, it really is.
I agree. I'm not a fan of being mandated. I've chosen to take it, but I think it's choices. I think grown men, grown women, grown adults should be able to make a choice.
Yeah, I think obviously, we all have our different views here, and my wife and I, we took it for our own reasons because we have we got a little boy at home that does have a pre-existing condition. So as soon as it opened up for educators, we jumped right on it the same day and got our vaccines. But again, that's a personal choice, and if you want to be left up to your own devices and fend for yourself, that's your personal right and choice as a human being, to make
and listen, and to be honest with you, I think that our country, that is one of the staples of who we are. And most of us, well, not most of us, everyone in this country came here from somewhere else for different reasons. Everybody. This country was founded for individual rights, and again, I think that we're overlooking those things. We're giving up more control. We're agreeing to things in the name of safety. And when I say safety and health, I say it with my air quotes. Okay, when in fact it's not like that, because now we have a handle on how things worked. At the beginning, you understand. We don't know what's going on. We have different. We have to see where it's going. But after a year and a half, we have a better handle on what this does, who it affects the most, who should really be, this age group should be mandated. Look, you guys really need to take it. Maybe I'm 85 and I don't feel like doing it. Then, okay, Pops, the chances you're taking.
Right.
Not a problem. As long as you're with us, we love you. And it is what it is.
I remember us in one of our poker nights, the commish actually said something, and kind of it made sense. Like, if you want to make the decision to potentially die, that's on you. It's your life. And yeah, you look at it in that respect, like, yeah, like,
and
if
you're
you
not
get
committing
sick,
suicide,
that's on you.
You're not committing suicide.
No,
you're really not.
That's on you.
It's just you feel like your lifestyle is not going to lead to you.
Correct.
And if you do get it, you feel you're strong enough to overcome it, to take medicine, whatever the case is. And, again, that's part of life, So like I said, it bothers me, and there's more. There's more mandates later.
Do you think that this was an opportunity for the state to kind of make a statement in a sense? Like, it was like a convenient opportunity for them. Like, they're 4-3. This is an opportunity to make a statement. It's not going to be very controversial, et cetera, et cetera.
I think
because that's a very left leaning state.
Correct, and again, I do think it was a statement okay? Because they're doing it across the boards. They're firing lifelong police officers. They're going all across the state, firing, different people from different jobs based on this mandate. You get me? And again, when the more you give and the more power you give, the less rights you will have in every aspect of life. Let's not forget that. And those are things that, like I said, that's what worries me. That concerns me of where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, no, I agree in that sense. That I made the choice to take it because I have a background in science, so I got to put my money where my mouth is. And I also have a little boy at home that
listen, and I support you taking it.
Yeah,
I support whoever doesn't take it. To me, it's like you just said, it is an individual choice, and we should not be forcing it down people's throats.
I do think it's important that we're having this conversation. I would like to add, yes, in the past, vaccines did take 7 to 10 years to be developed. That's something that is, that was like the standard. Pharmaceutical companies input about $1 billion into developing medicines and vaccines. But we are at that point right now where our development and our technology and our ability to develop these, innovations scientifically are accelerated. Because whichever way you look at it, you're right, left, center, whatever it is, like this was a very, very successful, innovative accomplishment.
And there was a lot of money thrown into it.
Correct.
There really was a lot of money invested in getting it done. You get me?
Right.
And again, and that's my thing.
Multinational effort.
Yeah,
and to that respect, we were able to do this in 11 months. Don't tell us now that you can't do other things that are going to affect our lives positively.
Correct. Correct. And listen, and with that being said, I think that we need to push more towards healthier lifestyles.
Correct.
1,000%.
Okay?
We're into this thing about, fat shaming. No, listen, it's not about fat shaming. It's if you're here, you are unhealthy. You're putting yourself in bad positions. Let's be smarter on how we live our lives, and let's talk about that instead of, hey, you got to get this. Hey, if you don't get the jab, you're in trouble.
And I believe in that wholeheartedly. We're in a society, especially in our country, where we prescribe a prescription for the side effects of a prescription that we're already taking. And no, let's go back and let's backtrack into the roots of what the issue is. Most of the time, why people are on multiple medications is because that they're not living the healthiest lifestyle.
We make choices, and again, and that's a choice.
Eating right, exercise,
those are choices.
Sleeping right,
those are choices. Those are individual choices.
Those are individual choices,
and
correct.
we respect those individual choices, but we won't respect the others. So like I said, and I really feel for him because Rolovich is a good coach. He was in Hawaii for a number of years, turned that place around. I think he was going to be at Washington State and do the same thing. I think that he was going to put them in a good position. Even this year, that's been a rough year. He's gotten some things going because last year again was the COVID year, so that season was kind of out of whack.
Right. Which we're very well aware of as coaches ourselves. But I do think that it was convenient. 4-3 Washington State, but let's also be honest. Washington State hasn't been a top tier program in 20 years.
Yeah, but this guy's been here for 2 years.
Right. No, heard. And that first year shouldn't have counted, man. Right. You're a steward trying to, hold things together while, the world's falling apart.
And your program's moving in the right direction.
And they're in a left-leaning state where the Pac-12 pretty much damn near shut down last year.
Correct.
So, yeah, dudes who are studs that would normally go there from that region went other places. So,
speaking of coaches being out, we got Ed Orgeron is no longer the head coach of LSU, or he'll be stepping down at the end of the season. He's in a lame duck position.
I think he was a victim of his own early success. He, it was a perfect storm of events for him because, nobody could have predicted that Joe Burrow was going to be the absolute stud that he was that first year. The dude was the fifth string quarterback at Ohio State before transferring to LSU.
We saw him in Dallas, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I think I saw
He looked.
something.
He looked pretty
I
damn.
saw a
good.
flicker in his eye.
He looked pretty damn good that day.
Yes, agreed. But
I was there for his origin story.
we're also talking about potentially the best quarterback season in college football in history. 81% completion, I think it was. This is going off of my head, so
They were
fact check me.
They were
But-
loaded. They were loaded. They got a great offensive coordinator, who's now with the Carolina Panthers.
Correct.
They had Dave Arana, who was defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach of Baylor. Again, another solid guy. And what's happened is that after that season, all those guys left.
Right, they were a victim of their own success.
Correct. The players, you had players graduate. You
He
had the
lost
coach.
a lot of people.
But I'm saying,
Exactly.
but he was a victim of his
Right.
own early success.
But you would think you still got to give him a couple years. He just won a title.
Yeah, but
So
Grizz,
it's a little bit more than just
Grizz,
the
but-
victim of his own success.
Grizz, I
he
think
had a couple issues. I think
There were.
underlying there.
There were.
Grizz,
There-
I
yeah.
do think though that there's a
Let's not
certain
stop at gas stations and say inappropriate comments. to
exactly, but to
The
a
guy
certain
wanted to get a workout in. What do you? I mean,
doesn't
now he's
wanna
trying to
get
be
a
a
good sweat in, right?
healthy lifestyle.
to a certain extent, he was an emotional hire. Go Tigers.
Well, he's an emotional guy.
But I'm saying, but he
You
was
know?
an emotional hire because he's a hometown guy, etc. and so on.
Like he sounds like what LSU sounds.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? The Bayou Bengals.
Go Tigers.
Yeah.
But
It's water boy all over there.
would you consider him a program builder? No, he's a great assistant coach. That's a great glue guy.
But guess what? I'll take him for the Canes.
It's not,
I'll take him for the Canes.
my thing with Orgeron, and I love Coach O. Coach O was a D-line coach here at UM for a number of years. I got to work with him a few times. I got to see him, and man, he's all heart. He really is an all heart guy. But what happens is that his emotions do take over, and during that year,
I'd rather have someone with emotions.
No, I totally
feel
agree.
like we have a non-emotional coach.
I totally agree, but the problem is that what happens is that sometimes those emotions alienate some of the guys that you recruit and some of your coaches. You get me? Which again, early on at LSU, he struggled with that, and until he was able to get that perfect storm together.
Right.
You get me? That job, because again, he was there for a few years before that happened, and they were already rumblings that they weren't winning. And again, listen, sadly, he's got to compete, or they have to compete with Alabama year in and year
Right.
out. And I know that Mr. Grizz says that the SEC can't travel past the Mississippi or whatever the case
They're
is.
right on the Mississippi.
You know,
know that, right?
but again,
They are
Yes,
right
they are.
on the
Yeah,
line.
Yes, they are.
Literally.
Literally.
They're right there. That's
But-
why the Gators lost there, because they were at the Mississippi and they knew this is too close.
So you know what
Too
I'm
close
saying?
to the sun.
They got to contend with Alabama year in and year out for that division. And unless you have the perfect team, it becomes really, really difficult.
And again, going back to the coaching side of it, I think like in my limited experience, like as a head coach, you have to manage everything, and you're not tapped into everything as much as the assistant coaches are. So as a head coach, like it's not a bad thing if you're not the smartest dude in the room.
And again,
he wasn't, but he had amazing
Right,
coordinators
but
and
that's
assistant
what- and
coaches,
that-
and
and
like you said, they all rode out
Apart from that year, his other hires have been a little
iffy, right?
exactly. And then again,
Questionable.
And again, I love him. I think the guy's great. I really do. But again, and those are things that have
it's a
caught up.
fine line you have to walk between being what they call like a transformational coach and a transactional coach. If you're a transformational coach, you're charismatic, you're
And
energetic.
it catches up with him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, he's an old D-line guy.
Right,
He's like,
exactly.
"Rah, rah, rah, rah."
He's
You know?
emotional, he's charismatic,
Yeah,
he's a player's coach, but you also have to have character traits of the other side too, where this is what we're doing, this is the standards and expectations, and you got to be able to pull from both sides of those coaching philosophies, transactional versus transit. Now, Saban has achieved immense success in being a transactional coach. Where this is my way, this is my system, and he's proven it time and time again. With the turnstile of coaches that he's had.
But
there.
let me tell you something, though.
Whereas Dabo Swinney has found immense success on the opposite side as a transformational coach. Empowering his coaches,
But Nick-
he's held them together
But
for
I'll
a
tell you
long
what,
time.
now, Saban has done an amazing job of becoming a player's coach.
He's evolved for
as
sure.
disciplined as he is, and as hard as Nick Saban is, Those guys love playing for Saban.
For sure.
You get me?
He's softened up for sure. And you
mean, I
think
don't know.
15 years ago he was doing those Aflac commercials?
Again, I don't know how much he's softened up, but he has evolved to where the kids understand the situation.
So, all right. I think this leads us into some other hit points here. Iowa and their losses. Talk to me, Coachy.
The number 2, that number 2 hex.
Always.
The number 2 hex.
I feel like every 3 to 5 years they're in that situation and they always just shit the bed. Excuse my my language here, but
Iowa?
Yeah.
Well, they've not been number 2.
But I'm
We're
saying
just talking about the number 2 hex. Anytime the number 2 team comes in new last couple years.
But I'm talking specifically Iowa.
it.
Iowa
It's the highest they've been in years.
Iowa every 5 years or so
they
is
get
in
into
that
the top
top 5,
five,
top
top
7,
top
10
and you're like,
Right.
oof, they're gonna make a push,
This is
and
the
then they
highest they've been in a while.
I feel like they've lost to Purdue
but-
on several
and
occasions
they were at
in the
home.
same situation.
And at Iowa. Because again, if you tell me you travel, you might, well, okay,
It
I'm.
wasn't even close, man.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't close at all.
It was just done.
It wasn't close at all.
I need to look this up because
No, it
like,
wasn't even close. It was a whooping from the beginning.
No, I know about that. I'm just saying like Iowa's.
You know, and
They
so
probably lost a couple times.
so now
But,
now
yeah,
we have a new number 2.
a choke.
We have a new number 2, which is it's
Cincinnati.
either Cincy or Oklahoma. It depends what poll you want to look at.
Right. Well,
You
the
know?
real poll starts in a couple weeks when
Correct.
they have the college football playoffs.
Correct.
And they'll probably put an Oklahoma up, or if Cincy keeps winning and they win out, they're in. I think. You got to give them a shot.
Almost definitely. The top 10 runs out with Georgia, Oklahoma, Cincy, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State,
Yeah.
Oklahoma State,
So yeah,
and Oregon.
I'm kind of
And you
like,
got Iowa at 11.
in 2009 they were 11-2, right? Fast forward a few years, 2015 they're 12-2, and then 2019 they're 10-3, and I think in all those cases they shit the bed around this time.
They always lose one
But
game.
they
it's,
lost
you know,
to like Ohio State at some point. I think they lost. They probably have lost to a Purdue in that spot, but maybe a Michigan. They're just Kirk Ferentz, man. He's just always going to get you
Listen.
a solid team, a team that always fights.
Yes.
But undefeated and national championship, probably not.
Their offense
not.
always their lack of, since you were talking about that earlier, Coach, their lack of offensive creativity
Yeah.
always ends up hurting them in the end.
Some teams have perfect games. They need a perfect season.
My thing is like
it works perfectly.
they
all
are
the time.
they are in the Garden of Eden, for lack of a better term, for offensive linemen. Like put those hosses up
and
front
tight
and
ends,
let,
too.
and,
You
and let
can,
them work.
but
They always get a solid tight
you
end.
can only win so many games with a double tight set.
Correct.
You know, you gotta put pressure on the perimeter. You gotta be able to do different things with those guys. And going forward, we've got 4 Big Ten teams in the top 10, and
Yeah,
2 of those 4s are gonna drop a game.
You got Michigan State versus Michigan in 2 weeks. That's going to be awesome because if Michigan beats Northwestern, which they should, it'll be 2 undefeated teams.
Don't put it past them, man. Northwestern is
Sure, no,
they are an
Northwestern on the
amazingly
road.
coached team.
Absolutely.
Fitzgerald is a boss.
I
He
can't
is.
I can't talk
This
bad
is
about
not
them.
this year though. I've been trying to get Michigan every week. I'm like, this team will cover against them. And no, Michigan's serious, man. I think Michigan. Maybe they don't win by 40, but they win, and they set up an undefeated clash against Michigan State. That'll be good. That'll be
And
really
Michigan
good.
State always gets up for that game.
And Michigan State was supposed to be terrible this year.
Yes.
And I knew
were.
they were going to be.
They were
decent when
supposed to be
played
really
us.
bad
And I just didn't know they were going to be
Yeah.
undefeated top 10.
at this point.
While we're talking about top 10 and stuff like that, you think Cincy makes it happen?
Yeah, we just
Again,
discussed it. If they go undefeated,
We talked about it last week.
They have to go undefeated.
They have to.
To me, the
Well, obviously.
only team that could put a damper on Cincinnati's season is the Houston Cougars.
Correct.
You did.
We
mention
talked about
yes.
that last week.
You know,
Houston.
maybe SMU, maybe might give them a.
The thing with SMU is
chance.
that their defense, like I said last week, SMU's defense to me worries me. You get me? Whereas Houston's defense is playing well. You get me? It's one of the most dominant teams.
It'll be
in the
a great
AAC.
game. It's just regardless, they got to go undefeated.
Well,
There's no one-loss scenario,
Right. No.
Unless
they're
you
done.
have a bunch of other teams that have 2 losses.
Correct.
But if they go undefeated, they win that game by 1 point. It doesn't matter. I think they go in.
They have a chance to be top 4. Well, since you brought him up, Grizz, what are we gonna do about the U, brother? How can we fix their problems? How can we fix them?
You got another 2 hours?
What's
we could just do days worth of this.
Listen, I'll turn off.
You think the Dolphins have a problem?
I'll turn off my mic and let you roll.
Nah,
kid.
you think the Dolphins have a problem? Of course, they start up. You play against North Carolina. You expect, it's going to be a tough game. North Carolina's had a terrible year themselves, so they lost FSU. We got a shot. Man, you go down big. I turn the game off because I can't watch these people. They annoy me. But I watch them through the damn app, and they get closer and they get closer.
And they're right there.
And guess what happens this week?
It's third down.
Guess what happens this week?
And you're going to go for it because you know what? The last time we ran the ball, we missed a field goal.
Exactly.
So now we got to be aggressive. Got to be aggressive.
What happens?
Interception.
Of course.
Interception.
It just doesn't happen. It's like what's going to happen is going to happen to this team. It doesn't matter anymore. This is just ridiculous.
I don't know where I saw this, but it does bring up a good point. Like, at what point does the University of Miami coaching staff and Manny Diaz, like, at what point do they start, acting on playing time of players? Like, if you're already 2-4, the season's a wash.
He just came out and said that they're not going to be playing the same guys. They're going to play more younger guys.
Yeah, he mentioned that the other day. He said he came out.
He said, grasping at straws
not
right
the
now.
coach.
Start making moves.
It's the administration. It's the upper echelon in this school.
Yeah,
they don't care about football.
Grizz,
don't care.
But they had an amazing recruiting class. Like,
yeah, but they don't care about the coaching. Sucks. They would upgrade the coaching. It's just not happening, man. This administration, Blake. Come on, man.
Oh, but the problem is he's only been here 3 years. They signed him off of Temple. They spent some money. Now, remember, they bought out Temple.
He was only here 3 years, but he was here before as coordinator. He's been here longer.
How much money are you going to spend on that? Because the buyout clause is big as well.
Yeah, so but that's another thing about UM. They're cheap. They're not going to spend that kind of money. That is, if they were an SEC team, they wouldn't care. They fire him, pay off the money, and they'll make that money back in a week. Come on.
Complete and total aside, I'm just saying that it's Derek King. He forgoed the rest of his eligibility, right?
What do you mean?
The Derek King era is over.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. But he's
good guy.
His season's over. He's getting surgery. He doesn't have any eligibility left,
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know how that works anymore.
Again, I'm not sure if he could get a red shirt because I don't think he redshirted before. I don't know.
There's a guy.
I think he redshirted at Houston.
Right, but this would have been his second season.
Unless he gets a medical hardship.
Did you not see there's an article about some kid in college that's like an 8th year senior or something? Yeah, some crazy stuff. Whatever. He can have it. Give him another 3 years. It's over. Yeah. I love him. But that didn't work. We got young kids. Let's go.
No, we got to move on. And again, the other side of it is, again, we go at the offensive line. The Hurricanes' offensive line is horrid. We can't block up front. We cannot block up front.
I'm gonna go from a different perspective here. I think we can recruit with the best of them. We cannot develop talent.
I can't argue that.
Like we are not.
Over the last 3 years, we haven't.
We are not adequately developing the talent that we have.
Over the last 3 years, no, we are not. We have not developed anything.
And I say we, I'm a season ticket holder.
Like we're part of
disclaimer.
It. But,
we watch and, torture ourselves.
The amount of money and time you put into this team, you're we. Okay?
Heard. I'll roll with that. So, but yeah, it's rough. I just, again, to his earlier point, there aren't going to be any major changes or there's not going to be a paradigm shift here until there's a president and an AD that is invested in rebuilding athletics in general. Because if you look at all of the top tier programs in college football, the president, the athletic director, and the head coach are aligned in their vision for the program.
I'll let you know
That's not the Miami Hurricanes.
As soon as we get to college basketball, because again, that's another situation where the coach has been there for a number of years, and we're still our traction. We haven't gotten traction. We got to the NCAA a couple years ago, and then we haven't done. So Jim Larinaga, again, he's a good coach, very knowledgeable. But how much longer
This
we're
is
gonna?
a retirement spot.
The problem
for
is
coaching.
that it's also like, since that's really not that important for us. I mean, it kind of is, but I would say in the hierarchy, even though, like I said, I don't think these people care about any sports. But in the hierarchy, it's football. I think baseball for
Correct.
this school. So basketball is, we have that year. We're the Iowa. We come out, we have a year, we win a couple.
Look,
come back.
and I think we touched
like
upon this in
their
our first episode. But again, Miami has never had the best facilities. They've never had anything that set them apart in the tangibles.
We need to have
in this program,
on-site football stadium.
right? But understand,
That's never gonna
they
happen.
these
It's never gonna happen.
we were what we were in the late 90s and early 2000s because those guys believed in the tradition
But remember that.
and the mystique of
But
the
that
Orange
started.
Bowl.
But that started in the early '80s.
Right. I
'Cause
mean, but
again,
there was a dip
we were
there.
Sunshine U. You came down here to come sun
Right.
and enjoy the beach, and you get me. We were Sunshine U. We saw.
Right, but I'm saying in our
so
most
Snellenberg
current-
and those guys turned it in the early '80s, and then yes, from then on it took off.
In the most current.
But
era,
I've heard it could never happen again. And I cannot believe that. I don't believe that this Miami Hurricane football program doesn't have the ability to be back like that. Why? We have if we have the facilities that you're talking about, I think obviously never an on-site stadium, but we need to get the hell
Well, a lot
out
of the facilities have been upgraded.
We need
A
to
lot
get out of the
things-
Hard
our
Rock,
weight room.
man.
Our weight room there now is one of the top, weight rooms around. I mean,
We need a football station close or something. You just can't. You can't
and
have
and
that
I'm-
stadium.
Again, this is purely like on my perspective, conjecture here. When you look at the University of Miami contingent, right? Like those individuals who go to University of Miami, those are like snowbird kids, that aren't Miami people. The real University of Miami fans are us, are inner city, the people who grew up in that
right,
mystique.
Right.
Well, it's a different college. It's not
Where they're getting their money from is
small-town
not
college.
from the people who want that culture to come back. They're getting University of Miami is a private institution that gets their money from trust fund babies that are not necessarily about this culture. You go over there, it's a different vibe.
You know who
altogether.
I consider is similar to us a little bit? USC. LA, big city. They had that. They've always had tradition. They had it longer than us.
But USC's in the hood.
I know they're in the hood, but like they're not a small town.
Heard.
Like they're in a big city, but they've had more traditions. I'm just saying they've had like a lot of rough spots in the last 15 years since Carroll left.
Correct.
And they're also a team that every year everybody has hope that they'll, because of the brand. I think that's what's similar
It's the
about
brand.
it.
These programs
And
get comfortable.
Do you
too.
do you think USC would never go back? I think they'll get back on top eventually. It just, you need the right
and-
coach. Like you said, you need everybody to be in sync.
And USC is one of those staple programs.
Correct.
That was a winner 67.
Forever.
John Robinson.
Look,
That's like
I'm
got a
gonna, but
tremendous-
look, okay. So check this out, right? We're going next level here. Look at the common thread of the two teams that we just brought up. Both of them, the NCAA tried their damnedest to try to just destroy these programs,
Right.
and they have not been able to recover to their past
Well,
glories ever since.
Nobody usually does. Because SMU, it's taken them
But again,
25 years.
you're talking about two
to try to,
historical marquee
Nobody does,
programs.
But the year after what was it, like 95, when they wrote an article that UM should like lose their team. I mean, we were thinking, we'd never be back on top, and then 5 years later, you get
not
the
everybody's
greatest team in
Butch
college
Davis.
history.
Not everybody's Butch Davis.
Yeah, but Butch Davis, I love Butch Davis, but do you think he's like a top 5 coach all time? No, he had the right.
Butch
came in
is
the right
struggling
time.
in FIU.
Yeah, he came in the
So-
right
No,
time.
he's struggling at FIU because his time has passed. But that was the dude back then.
I
He
know,
was the one who
but
brought
if
him
you're
back.
the dude, you'll always be the dude.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I love Butch, but I'm just saying, like, we
It
don't
also
need to bring
helps when
Butch back.
it also helps when
We
you
just
put
need
in
to
Don
have-
Solinger and the coaches
Yeah.
of that nature. Because
we had the best.
Old Donnie Ball over there was big in terms of that
Jimmy
culture.
did a great job. Well, speaking of LA, as we move on, the Dodgers just
They just made a comeback.
finished and won their game.
Right, so
So now it's 2-1. It's 2-1 against the Braves. They came back from the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, we're down 5-2. I needed them to win by 2.
Oh, you took what?
I know.
What is-
Took the 1.5,
Oh
man.
my goodness.
Schleppy.
Of course,
Schleppy.
always trying to get that edge. Trying to get that edge.
The
Trying to be
extra
greedy.
cheddar, man. It
Trying
was
to
on
be
the
greedy.
plus side.
Trying to be
It was on the
greedy.
plus side.
So the Braves now lead the series 2-1. This series it looks like it's gonna start heating up, and it's gonna move in the direction of maybe a 7-game series. Because I think Atlanta's gonna battle them all the way
I
through.
think it has no doubt but 7 written on
And we
over
had the
it.
battle of the trash cans on the other side.
And on the other side, the Bull Sox lead it 2-1. They shellacked the Astros yesterday. They beat them with a tin drum.
That's all right. When they
So
go
we
back
say
and
you got to take the over in this game.
When
Some
they-
people score a lot.
when they go back and Jose Altuve's getting this, when there's a breaking ball coming, I mean, it's going to be a lot easier.
Let me tell you, Boston's hit like
Yeah, I
3
did
or
that.
4 grand slams in this series.
They've hit 3, sir,
It's
which
ridiculous.
is the record for the most in any postseason in MLB history.
And we've only played 3 games.
Correct.
So so the odds are
I
it's
always
gonna
like
get shattered.
I always like listening to baseball history because it's like the first time in the history of baseball,
and history goes way back.
and it goes way
History
back.
goes
So
way back.
that's a lot of games
Yeah,
for
dude.
that to
If
happen.
we're talking
Yes, it
about
is.
if we're talking about this ALCS, you know, they might as well just be like, hey, I'm throwing a fastball now, because that's what they were doing to everybody else in those times.
Yes.
Yeah,
you still gotta
listen,
hit it. You still gotta hit it.
Nah, I don't. That you listen,
Nobody else can
when
hit it,
you
but there
know
was a guy that still
when
hit
you
it
know a
60
curveball
times.
is coming, or a fastball, or a change. When you know it's coming, listen, it's that game's a lot easier.
No, Coach. I mean, again, they've come back. They had a half decent year last year. This year they're back in it. So we'll see what happens.
It also helps when the dudes have a pocket rocket taped to their, shoulder to let them know what pitch is coming.
They're now
Little vibrator.
They don't have it now. So we'll see how that ends up.
And we're back with the weekly Gilly the Greek deep dive. And sir, Coachy, you got some explaining to do here, brother.
I almost drowned last week in the deep dive. It didn't go the way I wanted.
Got a little 250.
Oh, disgusting.
250 winning percentage
Oh,
here.
terrible. Went 2-4.
Talk to us.
The only
Explain.
two teams that could pull it out for me were my armed forces teams.
Repent yourself, sir.
My the Air Force Falcons won handedly with the upset. Army kept it close and was able to cover. And then, of course, the great Arizona State Sun Devils, up 21-7 at halftime, forgot that they had to play a second half. They thought they were playing spring football in Miami and only had to play a half. They got blown out. BYU never showed up. Yeah, it was just.
It was a rough one, huh?
It's just one of those weeks.
Yeah.
It's not good.
How's that algorithm looking for you now, big guy?
It's okay. You know what? It's a marathon. It's
Heard.
not a sprint.
We'll talk at the end
It's
of
a
the season.
marathon.
Yeah, season in review. We'll see
It's
what
a
happens.
marathon. It's a marathon. Right now we're 4-5 on the podcast. So
All
let's see what happens this week.
Talk to us about. Listen, this is an ugly for me. I'm gonna call you right now. San Jose State versus UNLV. What you got there?
San Jose State against UNLV in the last 8 years is 5-2-1 ATS, and they're 6-2 straight up. UNLV has not been playing great football. UNLV doesn't play great football, and I think that San Jose State will come out and win this game and cover the spread. They're favored by 5. I think they will cover the 5, and I think they'll get a little healthy, considering they were the Mountain West champs last year. Okay, they should come out this game and they should be able to play and cover the 5 points against UNLV.
So, okay, they didn't win. And I'm just looking at UNLV's schedule right now.
Correct.
Played a very close game against Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington is a very good team.
Well, not this year. They're not great this year.
35-33 in that one. How do you lose to UTEP or UTSA?
Oh, no,
University
let
of
me
Texas,
tell you,
San
the
Antonio?
Roadrunners are playing this year, buddy. The UTSA Roadrunners are balling. They're one of the better teams, and those guys are playing tough football.
Kept it relatively close against Fresno State. I know that's a favorite of yours.
Yeah, Fresno's got a good offense, and I might be going against them this week on my own plays.
Heard. So the ugly, you're taking the points.
I'm
San
not-
Jose State.
No, I'm laying the points.
Oh, you're laying the
I'm
points.
laying 5.
Oh,
taking the favorite.
Ooh.
Taking the favorite. Yeah, I know. I know. It's
Interesting.
one of those. It's one of those.
All right, moving along to Miami of Ohio and Ball State. Give it to us.
Another one in the
Some action.
Little Maction. Miami of Ohio is 4-1 straight up against Ball State in the last 5 years. They're 3-2 ATS, and they are playing at Ball State. I think Miami of Ohio comes up, wins this game, or at least covers the game, covers the spread. 6 points, I think, is too much. To me, it should be maybe 1.5 to 2 points.
This is a big one for the Midwest here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Even there's a gentleman that I follow that his name is Bill Conley, and he comes up with S&P Plus rankings. Even in his rankings, this game is closer, is less than 2 points. So again, I like Miami of Ohio with the 6.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, moving right along. Iowa State versus Oklahoma State. This is your big pick of the week, sir.
This is strictly a contrarian play. Oklahoma State is ranked. They have 80% of the bets. However, the line has moved in favor of Iowa State, and it's staying at 7. It's a situation where, again, it's a ranked team versus an unranked opponent. The unranked opponent is favored. This year, I believe that those unranked opponents are winning at an 80% clip.
The Cyclones are sneaky good always. They run that 3-3-5.
They run some good defense. I know Oklahoma State's been playing good defense as well.
They always, they're pretty good at disguising their stuff, and it does very well against spread teams. And that's why they kind of switched that defense in recent years. They kind of run a hybrid tight front with multiple DBs. They got like 5 safeties deep, but somebody's coming every time. It's actually a pretty innovative defense. I like it a lot.
There's already 3 books that have Iowa State at 7.5. 3 books already have Iowa State at 7.5. So it might move in that direction. Again, I like Iowa State strictly on a contrarian play.
Interesting. Anybody? Grizz?
I mean, I like Gil's thoughts there on the contrarian play, but I'm big on OK State this week. I feel really good about them.
Because you're a man? You're 40?
I'm a man. I am 40, but I feel good about OK State trying to get to that game against Oklahoma. That Bedlam, undefeated winner. Hopefully, will be able to make it to the playoffs. It's just they have it there. If they take their eye off the ball, then yeah, they'll probably lose by 4 touchdowns, and will make this guy look like a genius.
It'd be nice. Haven't looked like a genius in a few weeks.
Going back to your Army picks.
Yeah, we're going back. We're going to go back to the Armed Forces. We're going to take Army plus 3. I would love 3.5. If 3.5 comes back, I suggest that is the play of the week. Wake Forest defense is number 92 in rushing yards per play. They give up 4.6 rushing yards a play, and they give up 180 yards a game, which again is number 90.
What is this blasphemy you speak of the best team in the ACC?
Yeah, they are. They can put up points. But as you can see last week, Syracuse, which was one of my off-the-pod picks, that was able to save the week for me. Syracuse ran the ball down their throat, took them to overtime, and covered. Wake Forest is not a great defensive team, and I think Army is going to run the ball, control the clock, and I think it puts them in a position to be able to cover the 3. If not, they may get the outright win.
Interesting. Hold on. I need to look at this.
Please do.
I really like that pick. I love the Cadets in this game.
Please look at that pick.
I just for personal betterment here, and want to look at this situation. Well, Old Dominion doesn't count.
No.
Oof. They lost. Oh, they beat Virginia 37-17.
Virginia doesn't run the ball.
Florida State 35-14. Well, yeah, we already know what that. I'd rather be us than them right now. They beat Louisville 37-34.
Again, and Louisville ran up and down the field on them. That was an easy cover.
Yeah, these are shootouts barn burners for sure.
And again, Syracuse has not been known for their offensive power.
I'll go with the coach's wisdom here.
So, like I said, I mean, again,
I'm convinced. You convinced me.
No, I mean, like I said, man, I like them. And Army's been playing really well. Army gave Wisconsin all they could handle, and the Wisconsin defense is nothing to joke about.
Oh no,
and they fought back and forth, and again, they covered the game.
They got some.
That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for a cover.
Corn-fed hosses up front there. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. So I mean, and Wisconsin only scored 20 points on them.
No, I mean that's solid.
That to me is
for
a
the prestigious institution that Wake Forest claims itself to be.
I mean, like I said, I mean, I think it's going to be a good game, and I think Army's going to bring it. Army loves. Remember, the Armed Force teams always love to play these Power 5 teams.
Yeah,
you get me. And this is not one of the top 5. Yeah,
I mean, listen,
it's Wake Forest. They're having a great year, but again, I think their defense is suspect.
Their discipline and their their offense that, again, what is it, 3 to 4 days to prepare for? It's a tough one to do. Flexbone offenses. Shout out to AC, the first orchestrator of the Flexbone offense at Ferguson, Johnny Ferguson Senior High. Boston College at Louisville.
Again, another one. 5-2 ATS. And they've covered every year that they've played them. They play well. Boston College has been playing well. Louisville gives up a lot of points. Louisville's defense is not a solid defense.
They are not good.
Again, this quarterback for Boston College has been playing already now for 4 weeks. I think they're going to put up some points. I think, again, they control the clock. And they're going to cover. I think 6 points is way too much. It started at 6.5. It's now down to 6. This is another one that I think is 3 or less. I think this is a field goal game. As I was saying, Boston College, since 2015, since 2014, they've been playing. And Boston College is 5-2 ATS. And I like them to cover. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I do expect them to cover. It's 6 points. It's a lot of points.
Very nice. So
those are my 5 for the week.
Let's hope that the deep dive here, you repent yourself.
Hopefully I don't drown again.
For the atrocity that you posted.
Yeah. 2 consecutive drownings is not
But it's
good.
Okay. Long term was counts, right?
Long term.
This is all about the big picture.
Grizz, what are your thoughts? You've been pontificating, or not
I'm
pontificating for a while.
I pretty like all of the Gilski's picks. The OK State, we're a little bit at odds. I'm pulling from. It's not like I have anything on the line, but a couple bucks here or there. But other than that, I believe the Gil could be 4 or 5. I think he'll take that. We take 80%.
I'll take 4-1.
We take 80% all the time.
4-1 sounds good to me.
We're betting.
4-1 sounds good to me, Chris. Yeah. It's okay.
We're going to tease our exclusive interview with the offensive coordinator for the Appalachian State Mountaineers, Mr. Frank Ponce, who is a dear friend of our coach emeritus here. So take it away. You can introduce it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, I had the pleasure of being able to speak with him last night. They've got a huge game tomorrow night against Coastal Carolina at App State. Again, and you'll hear it in the interview. This will be for a share of the lead of the East Division of the Sun Belt Conference, which is a conference they've been dominating for the last 10 years. Coastal Carolina won the conference last year, and they run a great offense. It's going to be a great game. It's a great challenge for them. But yeah, we had the pleasure of talking to Frank Ponce, a Miami High Stingaree, a Miami grown guy that started out here as a high school football coach, moved on to FIU as an assistant coach, went to App State about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, maybe a little more, went to Louisville with Coach Satterfield, and now he's back at App State as the offensive coordinator. So we'll have that on as well.